You are listening to the Lawyer Stories podcast with host Benny Gold. Lawyer Stories was founded in July 2017 on Instagram and is an expanding global network of lawyers and law students sharing their personal journeys to the noble profession of the practice of law. Join us on this podcast as we dig deeper into these stories and hear from lawyers and law students from around the world in all areas of the legal profession. Here at Lawyer Stories, we believe that every lawyer has a story. What's yours?
Welcome to the Lawyer Stories podcast with Benny Gold. Today we have another special guest, but first a message from our friends at CallRail. How many high-value cases did you lose in the past year because your firm couldn't respond fast enough? 81% of law firms say slow response times cost them business, sometimes nearly a quarter of their annual revenue. That's why you need CallRail in 2026. Integrate into your case management system. CallRail helps you capture every call, even after hours, spot high-value leads instantly, respond faster, and get the insights you need to bring in bigger cases. Join over 3,000 law firms using CallRail to follow up faster, land bigger cases, and drive growth for your firm. Start your free trial today at callrail.com/lawyer stories. All right, back to our guest, our good friend, Kara Vaval.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm wonderful. Benny Gold. I love being with you and talking to you, but last time I was on the other side doing the interview. So I'm glad the pressure's off me today.
Well, I'm glad we finally got to do this because you're very dynamic. You're doing a lot of things. I know we could probably make this a 3-hour recording, but we're going to try not to. But I'm very I'm excited to have you here and to chat. And thank you for all the assistance with our Miami event, our get together that we do. We really appreciate your support as always.
Yeah, it's such a great event, such great energy, so I couldn't pass up on the opportunity to obviously support and sponsor and all the good things.
So Kara is a lawyer and author, keynote speaker, and business development coach. She's the president of Vaval Law, personal injury law firm, and the CEO of Empowerment Institute, an educational empowerment platform helping women lawyers build high-profit, low-overhead virtual law firms without compromising time, freedom, or lifestyle. She's also the founder and the host of the Laptop Lifestyle Lawyer podcast, which I had the pleasure of appearing on.
Yeah.
Kara's also the mind behind The Main Character, brand new, I love it, movement, a philosophy about stepping into the leading role of your own life, owning your voice, your desires, and designing a life on your own terms. That sounds amazing.
Yes,
Welcome
thank you.
to the Lawyer Stories podcast. Doing a lot of things.
Thank you for having me. This is so exciting.
You should be so proud of everything you've done. And, I went through my Gmail, and you submitted your lawyer story on October 28th, 2019. So we've been connected since 2019, it's now the beginning of 2026, and
wow,
kind of the end of, it's like October 2019, but still, that's awesome. And for me to be able to follow up and to keep those relationships and is really important. It's like one of the prongs and tiers of lawyer stories, having that connection. So thanks for coming on. This was even pre-podcast. I didn't start my podcast until 2020. Yeah. We got your story 10/28/19. So
yeah,
thanks for that.
And I've obviously been following your work the whole time. Always wanted to, and I always say nothing before it's time, right? Always wanted to connect, and then by the time we did, it was like we had been in each other's lives forever, right?
Wild,
and so even before starting this recording, the amount of talking we did, if we captured that'd be a podcast in and of itself, right?
That's true. That is totally true.
Yeah.
So for listeners meeting you for the first time, tell us where you're from and what drew you to the path, the law.
Oh gosh. Okay, so I'm originally from Haiti.
Wow.
Right?
Okay.
And so I'm a Caribbean gal, and how I ended up in the whole legal
Whoa, whoa,
field.
whoa, whoa. When did you live in Haiti? Like, were you born
Yeah,
there?
I grew up
When
there.
did
So I
you?
was born in New York, but when I was 6 months old, my parents decided to relocate. So I grew
Okay.
up on the island until I left when I was about a month shy of my 17th birthday. Had a
Wow. So you were there till 17. That's incredible.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's where I grew up, had a pretty charmed life, went all girl Catholic school, all the things. But I experienced a really grave loss when I was only 14. My father was his life was taken in Haiti.
Oh
He was
my God.
only 42 years old, and it was done in a brutal way. And I just could not see myself continuing to live there, although that's where obviously my family was based and all the things. And I've always had the people around me saying you should be a lawyer, you talk a lot and blah blah blah. But the sheer injustice in my father's death and the fact that the judicial system there just was not set to actually address what happened between the corruption in the country and all the things. Um, I really, I leaned into law because I never wanted someone to need a voice and feel so voiceless. And so I moved back to New York when I was almost 17, went to college there. My last semester, I actually interned with Congressman Engel on Capitol Hill, so I had
Wow. Okay.
My little DC time. And I also saw that most of the legislators, they were former attorneys or they were attorneys, they were
Right.
just not practicing. And so there was something about law that seemed to be it was influence, it was being able to have that impact and advocacy and all the things. And so I took a year sabbatical and then I went to law school
So wait,
down here in South Florida.
you went to Nova, right? So
Nova.
where were you in undergrad?
I went to Adelphi University on Long
Oh,
Island,
okay. Okay.
and yeah, I was in Long Island in New York, and then I moved down here, and this as the script of my life goes, I was supposed to, of course, like all attorneys who come in, they want to go get a job, get the experience, possibly make partner. I got a job with an attorney who had been my professor. He was my business law professor, and he was a securities litigation attorney. So he gave me a job out of law school, and it was in 2008, right before the market crash.
Okay.
And so took the job, and I was waiting for the bar results to come out. And so while I was waiting for the bar results to find out if I had passed or not, I found out I passed a pregnancy test.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
that's you
I didn't
said,
know.
oh,
I was just. Oh, okay. That wasn't the test I was waiting to hear.
nice. So that's what happened.
Okay.
And so I had my son, but during those 9 months, he was not so nice. So when I first got the job, it was like, oh, he could see me replacing him. He had been practicing for 40 years. So this was someone who was like an old dog kind of making his way towards retirement. And I was a rookie that was going to come in and do all the things. And of course, like all pregnant women, you're hungry a lot. So you
Did
snack
he
more.
know you were pregnant before he gave you the job?
I did not come out of the closet until after the results came out.
And
So
how long were you with him by then?
not that long because I found out I was
Yeah.
pregnant in August.
Okay.
And so I sat for the July bar, found out I was pregnant in August, and then the results came out September 22nd, and then the market crashed September 29th, like
Wow.
7 days later. And so
Wow.
he couldn't fire me. I couldn't quit. The dynamics, right?
Wow. I bet it's a
You
crazy. I
can
mean,
imagine. And
so many
so
things I want to like. I have like a few inappropriate commentaries that I have to keep to myself right now. Sometimes but if I was
so
having a drink, which I'm not right now, I might actually ask them, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, so
so
that's interesting. But I do have a question for you, though.
sure, sure.
Taking it back a little bit. So maybe this is ignorance or naivety or whatever the word is, but when you came over, I mean, you were born in New York, you lived in Haiti until you were 17.
Yeah.
Was there like culture shock when you came over, or like
Oh
what
my
was that
gosh,
like?
dude. From
Like,
the
cause you,
islands to New York,
well, that's what I'm
concrete
saying. Like,
jungle.
went to Long Island, right, for college?
Well,
So
I went to college on Long Island, but when I came to New York, I went to my grandmother's house was in Queens.
oh
So
boy,
when I got to Queens, so let me tell you, when I got there, my grandmother was 71 at the time. As soon as I got there, she told me, she was like, listen, I haven't had a kid in my house a long time.
yeah,
So like a one striker out, you
wow,
know?
okay,
And it was figure it out, find yourself a school. With the school in her neighborhood, which was Jackson High School, you had to go through a metal detector to go
okay.
inside. So I was like, I can't go to that school, because I was not trying to get stabbed or any
What
of
like
those.
year were you in school? Like a junior or something?
I was going into my senior year.
Okay,
And so I found a school in Fresh Meadows, which was two buses and all the things to get to. But it was a very good school. It was a safe school. The population was, a safe population for me. So, coming out of an all-girl Catholic school, it was very different. And so yeah, I went to school for that year and then graduated high school. And then while I was in high school, obviously got the guidance counselor, helped me find a school, applied for a scholarship, got a full ride to Adelphi,
wow.
and then yeah.
So like I'm just thinking even like about the couple years between the tragedy of your father and like when you decided to leave for New York, like was it kind of a difficult decision because you were leaving family behind and it took like a little while to figure out and like set up like a place to go to your
Well, I was
grandparents?
14,
Yeah, okay.
when my dad died. So I was a kid.
Yeah.
And so I just knew I didn't want to be there anymore.
Okay.
But I also that's where my mother lived. That's where I didn't have, I mean, I
Right.
always had family outside of Haiti. So my uncles lived in Florida, but my mom wouldn't let me just go live with
Right,
my
right, right, right.
uncles. So the only person she would let me go live with was my grandmother, which was her mother.
Okay.
And
Gotcha.
so that's how I ended up in New York, is because that's where my maternal grandmother lived. And that's the only place my mom was okay with me moving to. And I just wanted to get out of Haiti. So I didn't care where I went.
What were
Um,
what were some of the culture shock like going to school? You found the high school, you go in there, and like you only have a year left to high school,
right. Okay.
and
So
then
in Haiti, I had a driver. Let's start there to take us
oh,
to school in the morning. Okay.
nice.
Didn't have that taking buses to, let's start there. Right.
You had a
And then
driver like as in your mom.
as in, no, we had a chauffeur.
Okay. All
I
right.
mean, hey, Haiti has there's the Haiti you see on TV, and then there's the Haiti that some of us grew up in, where we did have access because it's help is very cheap in Haiti.
Okay.
So I grew up with maids in the house.
Oh,
There
okay.
was someone making dinner every day, someone was cleaning the clothes, someone was cleaning the
So
house,
it was
someone
actually like
was
culture
taking care of the
shock in
dog.
like the reverse way than I was like kind of thinking it might have been.
Well, so now, mind you, I'm in another country.
Yep.
First of all, New York is cold
Yeah.
in every sense of the word, like of the word. New York is cold. New York was cold, like physically. New York is concrete everywhere. There's no trees. I'm an island girl. We were at the beach every weekend. It's different. Everyone is go go go. No stone face. You're smiling at people. They're not smiling back. It's like get out of my way.
Yeah.
It's so different.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
it's depressing. It's depressing, right?
Okay.
But um,
I get
I,
it.
I I love the fact that that's where I started, because, as they always say, if you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere.
Right.
New York was sink or swim for me, and I swam like Dory, like
Yeah.
right. I just kept swimming. I
Right.
kept swimming, right? And so My gosh, I mean, in college, I remember taking 18 credits and having three jobs. I was a bank teller, I was a receptionist at a dealership, and I was tutoring this kid French and helping him with his homework. And I was just making money, you know?
Wow.
And so I didn't have your typical college experience.
No, no,
I
no.
was working, I was busy, I was an adult.
That's
I was
amazing. So,
adulting early.
so what about, yeah, that's incredible. Like, so what about law school? Like, then law school comes along and you're like, okay, I gotta like, get the forms and do. I mean, you're a hustler. You obviously like, you're a go-getter. That's like you're not gonna let that kind of hold you back. You're gonna figure it out, right?
Always,
Yeah,
always.
and that, I
Yeah.
feel like that's sort of a mentality of a law student too.
Yeah,
Um,
so law school for me, truly, besides the whole, the way my dad died and the lack of justice and all of that, I also wanted to make him proud, like it was, if there was a last thing I did was to make my dad proud because he was such a good human.
hmm,
And, I always wanted my life to be a testimony to the fact that even though I only spent 14 years with him, he fully equipped me to do all the things, right?
yeah,
And law to me was so prestigious. And it was
yeah,
one of those, if you go to law school, you could do anything, even if you don't want to practice. It's a law, it's a Juris Doctor,
right,
right? So you
right.
can't go wrong with that. And so that's really honestly the energy from which I applied from law school, I mean, to law school, got to Adelphi, did my 3 years, got out, got the job, all the things, got pregnant. And so the detour, which I call plot twist of my script, was that once my son was born and I was spending time with, I just did not want to go back to work. I didn't want
Yeah,
to go back. I
yeah,
was like,
yeah.
I'm already a licensed attorney. I passed the bar. I don't want to miss out on him growing up. I didn't want to put him in daycare just to go put money in this guy's pocket when he had been such an asshole to me
Right.
all
If
the
only I
whole
could see his look on his face when like you were like, "Hey, I'm pregnant."
dude, and as
I
soon
don't mean
as
to
I
laugh about
told
it, but it's like a
him,
long time ago, right? It's like long
it
enough.
was a long time ago,
Yeah.
so it's fine. But it's like it went from you're amazing, I love your work to, throwing the motion back at me like, who the fuck wrote this? Did you even go to law school?
Oh, I mean, that's the worst. But you hear stories, and not to make. I mean, you hear stories that's what like first jobs do to you. I mean, they say stupid shit like that. You know what I mean?
Well, but when you're pregnant and you're sensitive
Yeah. Okay.
and you're new and you're already like aware of how green you are,
Yeah.
being reminded of that all the time does, your confidence does take
Yeah.
a
Oh,
blow,
for
right?
sure.
There's
Yeah.
no way around that. And so even when I had my law firm, when I first started practicing, dude, things that could have taken me an hour to do were taking me five because I kept going over it and I was questioning my own craft. It wasn't until I was getting, my reviews and I was getting approvals for clients or I was doing the things that I was doing and I was successful in the representations. I was like, shit, I'm actually, I'm a
Yeah,
good
you're good
lawyer.
at that. What kind of
I'm a
law
good
were
lawyer.
you initially doing? Securities law and that sort of thing?
So with him, it was securities, which was so dense and
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you're talking about churning accounts in Merrill Lynch. I had like these sophisticated clients and these sophisticated conversations. They're talking about, trading in their accounts. I'd never even known about the stock market, let alone like what a stock is, right? And
I
like
mean,
all
hey,
this.
you work as a bank teller. I'm sure you saw some pretty nice
Well, I
account
worked as
numbers.
a bank teller, like savings and checking
I
accounts,
know.
dude. I wasn't doing any investment. I didn't know any of that. We don't have a trading system in Haiti. So I
Right.
was new to the whole concept.
Right.
And I'm now sitting in meetings with clients that are high net worth and they're trying to go after their broker because they realized that the broker had been, trading in their accounts and was not supposed, like it's all this stuff and I'm taking notes and I have no idea what the fuck I'm even writing about,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But I'm there,
You're, you're like stock market this or whatever.
Right. I'm like, and then I gotta, and Chat GPT wasn't even there to
Oh,
help me figure
yeah,
this shit
yeah.
out. So I gotta go
Right,
Google.
right.
Google's anyways. So anywho, I have my son. I don't want to go back to work. And I'm like, God, I need you to help me figure this out. And about 3 months into my maternity leave, I'm at a Target and a woman offers me a facial with Mary Kay Cosmetics.
Okay,
That's when the whole thing turns around for me.
okay.
So she comes, she does her thing. By the end of the facial, I'm like, how do you make money? She was an architect. And I'm like, you're a professional. Why are you selling this stuff? She explains the business to me. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So it was $100 for the starter kit. I bought the starter kit for $100, and I always say I bought my freedom for $100 because
Really?
I tell you, I started selling this creams and lipsticks and color cosmetics, and I was selling the crap out of these
Did you
products.
have to like give people facials to sell the stuff?
I did.
Oh,
As a
okay.
licensed Florida attorney, I was doing facials, putting makeup on them, doing all the things,
That's crazy.
selling my products. I was making my commission, and then I started building a team. And before you knew it, I was in my first free car, then I was in another car, and then I had a pink Cadillac. And my first 6 figures was out of my Mary Kay business.
Mary Kay.
And
Huh?
yeah, 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 yeah. It was an amazing hustle. And it was the Mary Kay money that I used to fund my law firm.
Okay,
And
so you weren't working traditionally like 9 to 5 though, in the law though at that point. You were doing the
no,
Mary Kay
I
stuff.
was at home with my son.
Yep.
I was booking parties. I was booking facials during the day. I was meeting women at, your local Walmart, Target, Ross, TJ Maxx.
How about
And
this, Kara? We'll set you up at the event on the side with the table and the lounge chair, and you can do some Mary Kay facials in Miami.
I got you.
All right, sorry, go ahead. So
Yeah.
you were going around to the different places, and you were
Yeah, I was
setting up
meeting
your.
women during the day. So I had a model. It was meet
Okay.
women during the day,
Yep.
book, book, book. And then at the time, my husband would work during the day. When he came home, hand him the baby, and then I would go and do either parties and whatnot. And I started building my
Is the
client base.
idea to sell the kit, the $100 kit, or to sell products?
It's to do both, but the
Okay.
better
Right.
the better route is to build a team. So
Okay.
I was helping other women start their business.
Okay.
So then I was getting commission on what they were doing, and I was training them. And truly, Benny, that's where I found out that I even had a gift for this whole inspiring and motivating women thing. I didn't know I could do this stuff,
Okay. All right.
So Mary Kay opened up an entire, you know, Kara to me that I didn't know existed in me.
That's
And
amazing. Were you ever into that stuff like before you left school,
no,
or yeah, that's kind
not
of
at all, dude. I'm
that's
telling you, I
wild.
was like law and that's it. And I wasn't even an entrepreneur in my mind. I was going to law school to make partner. I was going on that track.
Right.
And so business and all that stuff, no, my entrepreneurial spirit got kicked off because I had a baby. And
Yeah.
now I was like, okay, I got to figure out how I'm going to be able to be with him and make money. And so,
Do you bring the baby along with you or no?
sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes I did, and some women didn't care if they
Yep.
had kids too. It was so easy,
Yeah. Wow.
and I just grew that business, and that was 17 years ago that I started the law firm on the back of this
So
business.
what law? So you did security with this guy, but like when you started your law firm on the back of Mary Kay, like what
It
were
was
you doing?
immigration,
Immigration. Okay.
immigration, Haitian.
Well, yeah, I
It
mean
was
that
in
makes sense.
South
Or
Florida.
even another thing that you think about would be like, well, not criminal defense. Yeah. So okay, immigration would make
Immigration was
sense.
too easy. It
Yeah.
was just filling out forms, the instruction, like anybody could do immigration, right?
Oh, do you still feel that way?
Well, not with all the stuff going on today,
All
but
right.
when I was doing immigration, I was just doing petitions that are
Okay.
just form-based petitions. You just read the instructions. You can't fuck that up, right? You just gotta fill out the form, right? And read. I mean, obviously they were hiring me because of the in-depth reading I was doing as compared to them. And also a lot of my clients didn't even speak English, let alone read English. So they needed me for
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
But then the earthquake happened in Haiti and then the TPS stuff. So I was just volume. I was doing these applications and, pumping out work. And then that turned into a family law practice. I started doing
Really?
divorces.
Well, there's some crossover, right? So
There was definitely some crossover. And then a friend of mine whose divorce I did, as we were leaving the courthouse, I got her final dissolution of marriage order, and then she leaves with her daughter, and she gets rear-ended, and she's like,
you're like, I'll take that case too.
well, no, because I didn't. Up until that point, I was always referring PI cases out because
Right.
PI is one of those areas that's a lot of gatekeeping. So the attorneys who know how to do it are not really wanting to tell you because they just want to give you the 25% referral fee and then
Okay.
keep the case. So I was just doing that.
Okay.
But she refused to get referred out. So I kept the case.
She wanted you to take it.
She wanted me to take it because she had just gone through a divorce. She didn't want to talk to a lawyer. She just was in a really dark place. So I kept the case. And at the time, my husband was working for an insurance company as a bodily injury adjuster.
Okay.
You see how all the things just worked out?
So hold on. Let me just get up to speed because this is amazing. So okay. So how long did you do did you stay in immigration law?
Oh, I worked in my immigration cases for the first at least 6 years of my practice, 5 to 6 years of
and
my
then
practice.
family law, you kind of pivoted over because a friend was like, "Hey, I need to get divorced. Help me."
Right. Yeah. So I started doing not my friend. My friend was the PI. Family law kind of when I was doing the Mary Kay parties.
Yeah.
Also, every woman wanted to get divorced.
Oh my gosh.
I got so much business out of Mary Kay.
I bet. No, I bet.
It was a marketing
Yeah.
no-brainer. Every time I went to the parties, I would go in and I would say, my name is Kara. I'm an attorney by day, and I'm a Mary Kay consultant. And I was always introducing myself as I'm an attorney.
God, they probably loved you. I mean, because you had
everyone
really
had a case
background. So you got these cases. So tell me, all right, so your husband at the time's an insurance adjuster. You get this first rear end case.
So I get this rear end case. I send this woman and her daughter to treatment. So I found a chiropractor in her area because that's what he told me I needed to do. So I did that. And she went for treatment. I followed up. The doctor knew what he was doing in terms of working the case. So he made sure that she got her MRI and all the things that she needed to do, documented to the file. And then when it was done, he sent me all her records. I figured out what needed. So I had a draft demand that I worked off of as a template. And I wrote up a demand and I sent it to the insurance company. And it was a 10/20 policy, and they tendered the full 20,000 for the two of them.
Really?
And I paid $6,600 in attorney's fees.
That's amazing.
What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah. You were like that. You were like, that's
Dude,
it.
I'm a PI lawyer, bro. What?
Now you are. Now you're like, okay, let's hang that shingle.
I'm like, I am done with these. What are these family clients? Get them out of here.
Immigration. Take them away and get away. I'm not doing divorce anymore. I now take car crashes.
That's what happened. I mean, true story, Benny. I can't make this stuff up. It's just what happened. That's why when I get to this main character thing, you'll see what I'm saying. It's like things just happened.
Well, that's actually a question I want to ask you. I want to reset this up. So I love it. I'm so glad we got into all that. You really are a true inspiration with a great story. And so you built a career that blends law, business development, coaching, empowerment. Was this always your vision? Tell us about how things evolve. I know. So tell us about how it evolves.
I'm going to tell you. So in Mary Kay, you do a lot of personal development work. I think any multi-level marketing, any direct sales kind of company, they have that piece because, people get discouraged. So you need to constantly be, immersed in materials that are keeping your head up in the game, right? So while I was in Mary Kay, I was approached by someone I was at a Starbucks, and we're great friends now, Leon. And he saw my pink Cadillac when I pulled in, and he just started asking me questions around, my mindset. He was like, how did you get this car? And I was like, by putting a lot of money in women's pockets. I had my little script, right? And then he goes, no. He says, there's something different about you. Because obviously I don't present as your Mary Kay pink Cadillac driver. If you know Pink Cadillac, Mary Kay directors, they're white women with bouffant hair and blue eyeshadow.
Does it
They don't
actually
look
say
like me.
Does it actually say Mary Kay across the car?
No, it's actually a nice pearl pink, and it has the Mary Kay. There's a little gel thing in the back,
Did you get
like
to
you would
keep
have
it?
this. Well, they pay your car. It's not like they lease the car for you. It's
Oh,
not they don't buy you the car.
all right.
So they lease the car, they make the payments, and they pay the insurance. Anyways, so I said that to him, and then he goes, have you ever heard of Think and Grow Rich? And I at the time had not. So I was like, no. And he says, what about the power of the subconscious mind? And I was like, no. And so, but the guy started like kind of irritating me because it's like, get to it. And then he started sharing about a terabyte of personal development materials with me. And once I started getting into like how the mind works and all the things, I was like, oh my gosh, like it made sense, like it was like the holy grail for me that what you think about, you bring about. Like, and I had never stopped to think about my thoughts and what I was causing in my life. And I got into this paradigm shift video series. It was Bob Proctor, and it was about creating wealth and all the things. And I mean, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but that was the first paradigm shift I did. I was literally implementing this material that I had learned and completely changed my bank account. And I was like, oh my God, this stuff works.
Okay.
And so that's when I was like, I've got to share this. And that's how I published my first book, 28,000 Days Make Yours Count. Because if you go into the book, it's all about that, like all about really gaining an understanding of how your mind works so you can leverage your mind in getting the results you want in your life. Because you can, because I didn't know that. And so when I finally knew that, I was like, everybody needs to know that. And so I started doing the coaching around that. And when I started coaching lawyers, it was because I had seen the success that I had with the business model that I had. Because, dude, honestly, I never had an office, and I was caking,
Yeah.
and I was doing. My kids were in private schools. I was traveling. I was doing well, and my friends who actually went to law school with me, who had full-time jobs, couldn't see their kids, no time. They were not making what I was making
Right.
because I had no overhead practically. I never had an office. I was all voice over IP phone. Everything was, virtual. I was doing virtual way before COVID made that sexy. I'm talking from 17 years ago, I
Yeah.
had a virtual office. I was on Zoom and had virtual assistants back then.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
those kinds of things were like, because they were in the Mary Kay world. I basically emulated the direct sales model and created a law firm around it.
Wow. Okay.
That's how
What was
that
the
worked.
biggest game changer? I mean, he was telling you about all these things to read. Was it books, or was it like?
Oh, it was just the knowledge. So, I mean, I'm not gonna get into the details, but you are you're programmed, right? You grew up in an environment, you have certain beliefs and thoughts that have been ingrained in you because that's what you've been around your entire life. You eat the food you eat because that's what's been repeated over and over. You speak the language you do over and over. So if you have thoughts around scarcity, for example, that's been repeated over and over and over, no wonder you can't create abundance. It doesn't matter how many businesses you start, how many lottery winners go back broke within. It's the program is still a program of scarcity. It doesn't matter what you do on the outside. If the inside still has the program, you're going to run the same results. So
Mm,
once I understood that, I was like, wait a minute, I could just change the program. I can just change the things I believe. We were all born into a narrative that was happening before we got here. That doesn't mean we have to keep repeating it. You can, but you don't have to. And so if you look at me and as compared to my family, the rest of my family, you could see the difference in my life. And the only thing that's different is how I think.
Interesting.
I think differently about the same things.
So,
Where, yeah.
so how does somebody get started with like how like first of all, where does that where I don't know what to ask. So no, I do
There's so
know what to
many things I just stirred up
ask. I
in
know.
you.
So like how do you start to think the way you do? And does it have to do with the 28,000 days make yours
Well,
be a book?
28,000 days is how I try to verbalize all of this material and content that I had consumed into something for me to really have an introduction to someone that, yo, there's something different that you can do,
How
right?
do I get an autographed copy?
Oh, I'll get you one. I'll have one for you in Miami.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'd love
Oh,
it.
I got you. And I'll give you the audiobook so that you can actually listen to me narrate it and with all my, intonations and sarcasm. So
Yeah. That's no, so you took all that knowledge and you put it into your book. And your book was it's 28,000 days, make yours count. That was your first book,
that
right?
was my first book,
Okay.
and that was 10 years ago,
10 years ago.
2016.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to do a 10-year edition this year. So it
Okay.
was November 18th, 2016. So we'll try to get another one out.
What about so tell me about and if you have more to say about that, that's fine too, but I wanted to know about like the main character and like what you're doing.
So the main character really came about, and you see it's spelled
I
Kara. You
love
like
it. Oh, of
it? You
course I
like
did. Yeah.
it
Yeah, that's great.
too?
Yeah.
Clever me. So,
Clever. You
so
are.
the main character came to me because as I looked back on my life, I realized that my life was always bringing me here. If you look at everything I just shared with you, from the um, the plot twist of the pregnancy, losing my father, and that having me come to New York, and then the woman in Mary Kay, and that having me go on a platform that showed me a side of me that I didn't know. The guy at the Starbucks sharing this information with me, the book that came from that, and then my divorce and what that caused me to do a deep dive on, and the healing work I ended up doing, which now has me with my book that's coming out in March, From Clearance to Priceless, which I've been doing these retreats on that. And like everything was always bringing me here, which got me embodied in the fact that nothing ever happened to me. Everything was always happening for me. And if you look at your life, everything's always been happening for you. And where we get lost in the sauce is when you're resisting the things that are happening in your life like it's happening to you. And so now here you are like, oh, I hate that this is happening and blah, 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 versus leaning into what happened, learning what you need to learn, get the information from it. It's information. Life is, it's like little grains of little seeds, it's a trail.
I
It's
love that. Go back to tell me about how when these things happen for you, that it's information. I think that's a new concept I've been actually trying to utilize. Like if something happens and I'm like, I don't want to say it on here, but like F that or that person,
right.
whatever. It's information, right? Is that kind of like
Information. Okay. So okay, let me see. What example can I take? I got to a point in my marriage where it was time to end, right? It was time to end, and the ending of that marriage was going to be the catalyst for me to learn certain things about myself, heal certain things about myself, outgrow a version of myself, and go into my next, right? But as much as I was in the relationship deteriorating, I didn't want to let that season go. It was a season that was ending, and I did not want to let it go. and I made him wrong and I was upset and all the things. Meanwhile, it was a graduation from a season in my life. But because of the way that I was thinking about it, I was pissed about the fact that that was happening. Like I was like, you should fight for it and all of that. But if he fought for it, then I wouldn't be this version of me today. So thank God he didn't fight for it, right? And so those things that are happening are, this is just, you are at a threshold. Something is ending for something else to start. And the sooner you make peace with that, the sooner you can get to what's starting. And so people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Trying to make a seasonal person a lifetime person is a painful endeavor. So if something is informing you that it's deteriorating and it's ending, rather than pushing back and being so upset about it, embrace the fact that it's like, can you imagine me being pissed off that it's time to graduate law school?
No.
I just spent 3 years. I learned what I needed to learn, and it's time to move on to go study for the bar and do what I got to do. Same thing with my marriage. I was in the marriage for 13 years. It was great while it lasted. I had amazing kids, and then it came to an end. And it was time for me to move on into the next chapter of my life and him in the next chapter of his life. But because of all of this programming around marriage should last forever and you're breaking the family and all this stuff, which is not my story. I didn't break the family. The union disintegrated. It was no longer sustainable because we had grown differently in different, in opposite direction, and it's fine. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So that was always information. So again, I'm at this job. This guy's breaking my balls, right? I'm trying my best. That's what I wanted. I wanted to go into the trajectory of going to law school and getting the job and becoming the partner, but that was the pivot for my life to go into entrepreneurship. That woman being there at the target when I'm praying, God, come on. Like, hello, you can't make this stuff up, right? And then the fact that it worked out. And then the fact that on that platform, I was able to learn something about myself that I didn't know before. That information turned into what I do today. When I'm speaking, like I had a coaching call this morning with my lawyers. The majority of the stuff I do is head work. Yeah, I give them what they need to do business-wise. They do bring me their cases and ask me for advice, and I help them with that. But most of the call today was one of them not believing in herself.
Wow.
And I had to just get her to really, and I had to make book recommendations to her. But thank God I read all these books this guy offered me, because now I know the books to recommend to someone who's stuck in their head. It was always information, Benny. Always.
Right. Wow. That's a lot. Can you recommend some books to me too, besides your
Dude, I can give you a whole list. In the back of my book, there's a whole list of reads. Because I'm not a gatekeeper. Like if something works for me, dude, I want you to have it, and I want you to have it fast. And so absolutely. You'll have an entire list by the time you get through my book, and that list, it'll be next year. So if you're really a fast reader.
I'm not, but that's so wow. All right, so what are we talking about? I think the Kara,
did I just make you spin?
The main character, we were talking about that. Like when did you? Oh man, so like you've got me thinking about a lot of things here.
You're like rethinking your whole life. Should I start hosting the show? Okay, wow.
No, so like when did you know that like studying mindset and subconscious programming could change the way you practice law?
Dude, so I'm the tool. Okay? I say that to my girls all the time.
You're the what?
I'm the tool that I use in my business. I'm the business owner. I'm the one who's making the decisions. I'm the one who's reviewing these cases. I'm the one who's dealing with the clients. I'm the one who's, figuring out how we grow, all the things, right? The better I am in how I think, the better business I can do and the better a lawyer I can be.
Right.
Right? And so for me, if I'm not using this tool, which is me, right? If I'm not practicing, working with somebody, coaching, I'm sharpening the tool, which is listening to an audiobook, listening to podcasts, like making sure my head is always getting upgraded. So that's why on the outside, you keep seeing my life upgrading. People are
Yeah.
now like, oh my gosh, this version of me that is showing up is looking like, where did this come from? Dude, it comes from every day, the stuff that's in my ear that I'm constantly developing myself. And the ideas that now I have that I wouldn't have had before because main character is an idea that came to me because of how much I've developed myself and
Right.
had a chance to look back at my life and looked at the fact that it was always leading me here. Something in what I was listening to was the catalyst in me thinking those thoughts, which if I was just going and grinding and doing the same thing every day, I would have never had that insight. And so it helps me to be a better human, period. So in anything that I do, whether it's motherhood, whether it's relationships with my friends, or whether it's practicing law or being a business owner or being a coach, developing myself makes me a better tool.
Yeah. Oh, it's interesting. Have you ever heard that Steve Jobs speech, like the one from like a long time ago, like where he talks about looking back and being able to connect the dots? It was pretty profound, the whole thing. I haven't read it in a long time, but
I haven't, but I
it,
will definitely look it up.
it
But
was,
that's probably what I'm experiencing.
yeah, no, that's,
So the whole main character thing, just so you know, that's what it's
yeah,
about. It's about helping. I mean, obviously, my audience is women, right? But it's helping you see how life was always informing you. It wasn't kicking your ass. So if you can go back and look at the things that you hate the most about your life, the things that you wish were different. Let's start there and actually lean into what did you learn from that? What did that pull out of you because you went through that? What is it now that you know, and what kind of insight do you have now on, and how are you right now? Like I've always, let me just take another example. And it's not, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus, but I always wanted an amazing relationship with my mother. And I was never able to achieve that, right? I wanted a relationship with my mother. I wanted a relationship with my mother. And the mother that my kids get is the mother I wish I had.
mm,
But would they have gotten that mother had I not, you know what I'm saying? Had I
yeah,
not gone through that?
that's interesting because that's how go ahead, go ahead.
But you see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I had an amazing father who was a provider who, in his mind when we were young, like he was going to send us to Paris for school. Had I been handed all of that, would I have ever developed this hustle?
Mm,
Probably not.
yeah, no,
He would have
it's,
probably
love it.
handicapped me.
No, what's that?
He probably would have handicapped me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I love the way that you think with that. I mean, it's kind of for me, my example is being a boss, being a man. I mean, I have a job, I have a full-time job, I have a second life. It's actually my primary life, but I feel like I live two lives where some people don't know really, but I man it. I mean, I have typical like I love the job, government bureaucracy, 30 people or so. I have directors and then they have people, and I told myself, and no shade on my my first boss. We had a good relationship, but then it kind of went sour. But if I was ever in the position, I had such a rough time like in that job that if I was ever in the position to be like a manager and manage people, I would never do some of the things that were said to me or done to me or that sort of thing, And so now I'm able to not do those things and just kind of act differently. So I think I do understand what you're saying, and I think it's like important, to like gather the information and
So important because
forward.
then you're in the driver's seat versus the passenger seat of life just like running you over. I remember going back to my boss after I had gotten my pink Cadillac because he was not a good boss, but he was not a bad person.
Right.
And so I went back and I was like showing him that I had gotten the pink Cadillac. And I was like, because of you, I will never work for another person a day in my life. And
You
he
said
said,
that?
good. I did. I did. And mind you, can you imagine? That was only, a year later
Yeah.
when a year before, I was employee going to make partner. Like, can you see how much your mind can change, right? And he said to me, good kid, because you're psychologically unemployable.
He said that?
That's what he said to me.
It's not a bad comeback. I mean,
It was amazing. He's sharp. He was like on his toes. But that also was something that stuck with me. I'm psychologically unemployable. So I better make this entrepreneur thing work because I cannot go back to work for anybody.
right. Yeah, no, I mean, there's some people that just can't work for other people. I mean,
I just couldn't.
yeah. I mean, tell me about your firm, like your law firm, and like, I wanted to talk a little bit about like referrals with you.
Uh-huh.
Something that I did since our last conversation when I was on your podcast is I had some conversations with my new best friend ChatGPT, and I
Yeah.
ended up putting out a video of myself and posted it and just like trying to leverage lawyer stories. Like I take cases and I can find you like the attorney that would be suitable for your legal situation. And I put a video out and I boosted it, and I got some crap, like not very good leads, but
You
that's
can't just put one video. We got to put a lot of content.
yeah,
Nowadays,
yeah.
yeah,
I know.
there's
So
got to
that's
be a whole movement
well,
behind that.
yeah. I mean, that was like one of my practice things, and my plan is basically if I end up getting like some cases, I was gonna have a side like law firm, but it hasn't happened yet. So,
Yeah, we got to do more videos and then they're going to start happening.
yeah, because I
And it's
really
not a wham bam, thank you, ma'am. It's not a one-time thing. You got to push, 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 and then there's a little because it's like people don't know. And then most people, when you posted that video, I bet you 90% of the people didn't see it. So you see
well,
how
I boosted
redundant
it. So
I
I
am?
I boosted it several times on Facebook. That's like the platform I used, and so
Yeah.
it got
So
like some
boosting is not
responses.
as good as actually running an ad. And I'm happy I took a whole ad course. So I'm
Wait,
happy to.
Facebook's not as good as actually running a.
Well, no, boosting is not as good as actually running an ad. So
Oh,
boosting, Facebook is going to decide who Facebook shows the stuff to. When you set up your own ad, you select who sees, like which eyeballs see
yeah,
your
no, that's
ad.
what I did. Yeah, I set it up.
Yeah, so it's very important to,
Right.
do that. And then also, I've got to exclude people who already, have interacted with your stuff. And so there's the whole thing around that. Happy to.
Thanks. So, yeah, so what's going on with yours? Like, tell us about the laptop lawyer lifestyle.
So I mean, I still run my practice,
Yep.
like I said, we just celebrated 17 years on January 15th.
Congrats.
And, thank you. And I have my relationships with my doctors. I continue to get those referrals. I mean,
Okay.
I've built such a network and my community, I have a lot of clients who refer to me. So
Okay.
I stay busy and then I think I've mentioned it to you. I do a lot of these wax injury cases. So those come
A
through.
lot of
And
what?
so Brazilian wax
No kidding.
injury.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Oh, I thought I told you.
No, no, that's
So that's like an interesting little niche that I have,
such a niche. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So those are all cases
So,
that keep
so are
me
those
busy.
are your plaintiffs men or women though?
They're women.
It's all
They're
women.
women who've either gotten burnt with the wax
Cool.
or got a tear from the wax. Like and so it's so personal. They don't want to show these pictures, but
Right.
I'm like I got the same body part, so you could just send
Well,
it
no,
to
that's why I was asking if
me.
you had any men clients too.
No, 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 it's women. It's
Sorry.
women. But
Yeah.
there's all of those kinds of cases.
Yeah.
And so between that and, your run-of-the-mill accident, slip and fall, and yeah, we're busy. We
So are
stay.
you what's your team looking like, and are you like outsourcing? Like, are you referring?
I am
Okay.
outsourcing. I use, dude, my model has me very low overhead, very low stress. you know, and people from just very well trained staff that are not costing a whole lot, which is what I teach my lawyers. You
Right,
know,
right.
you've got Upwork that can deliver some
Yep.
great help, and yeah, and then between that and the attorneys who work in my or who are laptop lifestyle lawyers as well, who they will manage some cases for me and use their back office. And so I'm free to do what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's awesome. Yeah, and if you're ever looking for, I did a promo for a paralegal company, and I did like, stuff like that. So
Awesome.
Upwork, I
Yeah.
use Fiverr for certain things, but
Yeah,
um,
Upwork is great because you know, a lot of the people who are on that platform have worked for law firms in the past, so they are already well trained. They already, you know, they know the process. So you throw them into your software and they can handle it.
yeah. So tell us, like, many lawyers like feel trapped by like overhead and time demands, and like how can we shift the mindset? Like, do you have to? You have to have some sort of mindset to go and be an entrepreneur and run your own business. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could have a need for it like I did, and then the
Yeah.
mindset
Right.
follows.
Right.
Right.
What about is the Empowerment Institute, is that your where you talk about your lawyers?
So, well, the Empowerment Institute is my coaching company. That's
Okay.
that's where the laptop lifestyle lawyers get enrolled through that company.
Okay.
It's its own LLC. I have courses, I have workshops, I do, you know, even the main character stuff. That's all under the umbrella of the Empowerment Institute. Um,
Okay.
I just started doing these empowerment parties, which is emulating the
Nice.
Mary Kay parties,
Yeah.
but we talk empowerment at those parties, but girls' night in instead of girls' night out, right?
Yeah.
And then having conversations that are meaningful so that, you know, you actually leave with a different spin on things. And so that's, I mean, my life is, and as I again look at the information coming, my life is taking me on a path where I can have impact on a large scale on women's minds and how they think about themselves, how they think about what they do, and of course, change their results accordingly.
Where do you see yourself in like 5 to 10 years?
Probably speaking all over the world
Okay.
and conducting workshops. This fall, I'm taking a group of women to Bali for the retreat that I'm going to have. It's going to be in September. So I'm seeing myself do things in my mind's eye. I will have a whole lot of impact before I leave this plane. So
Wow.
I'm enjoying the process. I've never been more settled in who I am. I've never been more, um, you know, aware of what's going on, right? And
Yeah.
so it's like I've relaxed into life, into the dance of my life, and so it's so much more enjoyable. You know, I'm not pissed at anybody. I'm not resisting anything that's happening. I'm not, you know, it's like even when something is not what I would want it to be. I take it for again more information. It's not that I don't get upset, but I can't stay upset because I get that this too shall pass. It's passing, and on the other side of it, I'm going to understand why this happened. So it's a completely different energy, and it took me a long time to get here. And boy, am I happy that I'm here.
How do you do it all? Like, how do you do all this, all of your different initiatives? And that question, and what inspires you the most to like keep going now that you're like a big success and you're doing everything? Like, what
I don't
inspires
even
you? Like,
see
what?
myself as a big success, dude. I love what I do. First of all, um, I love seeing other people win. So
Okay, that's
that's
good.
that, like I'm addicted to that. So
Okay.
that'll keep me going a long time. Okay, so let's start there. I love the fact that my kids get to see the example of what, you know, instead of having this mentor or whatever that could be Oprah for them, it could be their mom, right?
Yeah.
Like I like that. And what the fuck, what would I be doing with my life if I wasn't doing the things that I do?
Yeah.
What I do fulfills my life. I wake up in the morning. I love working out, and every morning I'm either at the gym or on the tennis court. So I'm happy doing that. I love eating healthy, and I get to eat healthy because I'm not in a rush anywhere, and I can do that. I love the fact that everything that I do is from my laptop, so I can do that from the pool, from the beach, from wherever. Um, I love that I have impact. I just finished writing my second book, and I know that once that goes out, I'm looking forward to that, what that's gonna do, right? The podcast, I love the conversations. I love doing this with you.
Yeah.
Like, what else would I be
Sure.
doing?
Yeah. For sure. No, I loved it too. Is there anything? I know there's you're multi-layered. Is there anything? I know we've got to be like missing some other stuff, but is there anything else that you wanted to touch on, or any advice you want to give the Lawyer Stories community?
No, the lawyer stories community. First of all, you got an amazing leader at the top here doing what you're
Wow.
doing. So
Nah.
kudos to you
Thanks.
for,
Wow.
for this platform, for what you do. I love, the various cities that you go to and these events that you're hosting. You're bringing people together. You're creating relationships. Really, is what you're facilitating, is for people to connect, and fruitful, outcomes to come out of that. I mean, you and I, again, we talked about the fact that we just connected online, and look at all of,
Yeah.
what's happened.
Yeah.
And, so that's amazing. And, more than anything, go for what is in your heart. Like, I
Yeah.
don't think your desires are there just for by happenstance, or just, as a God playing games with you. If you have something that you want to do, whether it's hang your own shingles, or become a laptop lifestyle owner, or become an author, a podcaster yourself, or, move away from law and do something else, or whatever that is for you,
Yeah.
go for it. Again, 28,000 days, and then you die.
Yeah.
This is not a dress rehearsal. We are
Right.
live, and this is your life. And
Right.
so the sooner you stop resisting your life and you embrace it, the sooner you actually go after the dreams that are embedded in you, the sooner you do all of that, the sooner you get to live a life that you're happy to wake up to, and that that you feel this fulfilled, and you don't feel like you're dragging. Like, there's not a moment in my life where I'm doing something that I don't want to do, or that I'm somewhere that I don't want to be. If I'm somewhere I don't want to be, I get up and I leave. I'm not stuck anywhere. I
Yeah.
have autonomy over my person and over what my day looks like, and that's
Yeah.
something that you can create for yourself if you decide to do that. And so if that's what you want, it behooves you to do it. And if
Yeah.
that's not what you want, then be happy and, great at whatever you're doing. And so that's my message. That's what I hope for everyone, because again, there's going to be a day that the clock stops ticking. And I remember when I was in Mary Kay, there was something that they said it was scary. It was that, the richest place in the world is the graveyard, which is where all the dreams went to die, with the person
Wow.
who was too afraid to take a chance.
Wow. Wow. Kara Vaval just like dropping the wisdom. Unbelievable. I could keep going, but that's
Yeah.
let's okay. Is there anything
I
is
mean, the next thing I'm going to do is promote the Miami Connect. So if you ask me any more questions, first of all, if you want, okay, so let me do a little plug. Shit, I'm already, So Kara Vaval ESQ, Kara Vaval ESQ. If you want to follow me on the gram, that's where I am. At caraval.com if you want to check out any of the other stuff that I'm up to, my webinars and all the good things. But more importantly, you got to be at
well,
Miami Connect, Moxie. Okay, we're gonna be doing the dang thing. I'll be there.
be doing the
Okay.
damn thing. Everybody's like,
So yeah, February 12th. What
nice.
time they gotta be there?
6:30-ish.
6:30. We're in Miami time. Put a twist of Caribbean. I'll be there a little bit, like more like 7. But I'll be there, and we're gonna have an amazing time. And so if you haven't gotten your tickets yet, don't sleep on it. Benny needs to know that you'll be there. I need to know that you'll be there.
That's right. So
And then let's
thank
connect.
you.
Walk up to me, tell me, dude, I heard your podcast and this one thing. So I'd love to hear, if any of this stuff resonates, walk up to me and let me know.
Thanks, Kara. I appreciate it. Stay right there. Everybody else, thanks for tuning in. Wonderful guest, Kara Vaval. Wherever you are in the world today, enjoy yourselves. Cheers.